It is a brand new day here on the Sinai Peninsula, and probably where most of the people that I know tuning in would be coming in from the United States. So a little bit later. Hopefully you're not doom scrolling, but if you are, welcome to this. Maybe this can be helpful for you because I want to talk a little bit about those addictive tendencies. ADHD and addiction go hand in hand, unfortunately. Or maybe not. You see, I had issues with addiction most of my entire life, and I never really totally understood why. But once I got to this awareness, this self-awareness that I have an ADHD nervous system, then it became clear to me that my story with addictions always had a purpose. Because if you have been medicating yourself, you've been doing exactly that, treating yourself. Addictions, whether they're cigarette smoking, cannabis, sexual content on the internet, sexual relationships, codependent relationships, food. Ooh, food's a tricky one. All of these things serve a purpose. They serve a purpose because something in your body, something in your nervous system, something in your emotional system is not being met. And therefore, we reach out to these things to medicate, to take care of ourselves. And so today, it's important for you to check this video out if you have ever had a challenging relationship with any type of substance. If you've ever had that thought that, oh my God, maybe I'm just an addict. Maybe there's something wrong with me. I want you to know that you have always been doing something that has been for your good. You've just been using methods, substances that are not as effective as maybe other things. But your ADHD nervous system has always been seeking out solutions. So it's important for you to understand your nervous system and why it has always been a little bit of a tricky system when it comes to addiction, because you'll be able to begin reframing your understanding of your own self. These bad habits, these bad behaviors that you've been engaging in all your life will start to make sense because your addiction will no longer be that bad thing that you did. It becomes actually key information that is telling me where I can find better solutions, how I can seek out better pathways for my own inner needs. Your addiction has always been information. It will also help you to understand that your nervous system is wired to a certain degree for addiction. And when you understand that your addiction has been simply your evolutionary pathway, that you live in a society and in a world that frankly has evolved far too quickly for your own genes, then you'll see that you've just been living in an environment where you have had so many addictive substances, so many addictive behaviors, that your genetic system did not have the evolutionary time or bandwidth to be able to evolve to. So stick around because this is key information for you with a neurodivergent nervous system, because you get to learn more about yourself and how to stop being stuck in the past of, oh my God, I did those things. I smoked the thing yesterday. I did it again. Shame on me. And shift into, how can I learn about myself so that I can find a better way? And Mike, by the way, thank you for your comment. The dude thinks that he's better than everyone. I love you, brother, so much, because clearly you just don't get it, and that's okay. So if you don't stick around, that's fine, but maybe you should stick around because there's going to be a lot of good stuff here. So look, the thing that I want to talk about today is, why is an ADHD nervous system so prone to addictions, and why has it always been simply a path of you medicating yourself? Now, look, what is ADHD? It's not a disorder. It's not an issue. It's not a problem. It's not something wrong with you. Let's get that right out. Get it gone. Just remove that from your brain. Your ADHD is a nervous system that doesn't belong in this world from an evolutionary perspective. You are a more tribal, ancient, hunter-gatherer, nomadic. You're just an older nervous system. It's not a farmer's nervous system. This modern era is much more, and essentially it came and stemmed from the agricultural evolution and how humans decided to plant down in one place and focus on one thing and start to just go, if I can just have a long-term vision and plant seeds and grow crops, then I can be safe. Well, guess what? That's not what our nervous system is used to. Our nervous system is used to novelty. I need to find new things. I need to find new information, new resources of food. I need to have an open and sensitive nervous system because slight variations in light, in movement and sound will cue me into what I need. Now, how does that relate to the dopamine system and therefore to addiction? Well, your dopamine system has a low level baseline. The amount of dopamine that you have just standard is different than those that are neurotypical. It's a lot lower, which means that it takes more to get us to move into action. And so we are often seeking dopamine in order to stimulate our movement, our efforts. Well, there's a lot of shitty sources of dopamine out there right now. And a lot of them are very addictive for us because I can roll a cigarette and smoke it, and then just in that moment, I can spike my dopamine levels and feel like I'm achieving something, but I'm not, right? Our nervous system has been wired to seek out this data, to seek out novelty, because that could be food, that could be resources, that could be survival in some way. But these cheap sources of dopamine are all around us. You're actually looking at one right now. This is the most potent form of cheap dopamine that exists. So scrolling, online shopping, cigarette smoking, alcohol, these are all things that are right there and ready for you. I mean, if you live in a place where online shopping is a common thing, it's designed to make sure that if you have a single impulse, a desire about a thing, you want that thing, then the pathway for you to buy that thing could potentially be only a matter of seconds. I mean, people can just get on their phone and buy something in a matter of seconds. But this is medicating. This is self-medicating, okay? You are treating yourself because then you raise your dopamine levels. You feel that spike. You feel that sense of satisfaction, that sense of I did something. And then guess what happens? Well, it crashes. But your level of dopamine crashes to a lower than your baseline level. And then you feel that ache, the emptiness, the dissatisfaction, the discomfort. And what do you think you're going to do after that? Very simple. You're going to seek more dopamine. Addiction. Yes, exactly right. Look, the funny thing about our relationship to dopamine is that every human has this tendency of wanting to seek dopamine, to create dopamine in our system. It's a reward related system. It keeps us moving, it keeps us surviving, it keeps us thriving. It's just that when we spike super high. We spike super high. So it's like, have you ever been with your friends eating ice cream or something, or eating some sort of a candy bar, and all of a sudden you're taking that bite and you're like, oh my God, this is incredible. This is the best thing ever. And then after that, bam, you're back down to the bottom and you're like, I need another one. I need another candy. I need another ice cream bar. It's because it's just your body and your neurochemistry playing out. This doesn't happen with neurotypical people. They don't have the same intensity in their reward system, their dopamine system, because they have a higher level of dopamine. So if you are smoking, drinking, scrolling, shopping, you are medicating yourself. Not only because you're trying to get that dopamine, because you're trying to initiate action, but because there might be something else missing in your life. So what is it that could be missing in your life? Well, I can tell you from my own personal experience, a lack of connection is massive. A lack of connection is massive. And listening to Dr. Gabor Mate talks about this, that essentially addiction is the absence of communication. It is the desire to connect with other people. Jinx, does that mean I owe you a Coke? Uh, the thing that's really powerful is that when I notice a day where I am sitting at home, I'm working on my computer by myself, I'm completely isolated. I find it's easier for me to want to reach into the fridge, for me to I don't know, go and try to go to the beach nearby where there's a bunch of people smoking weed and see like, oh, maybe I can go and find somebody smoking. Like if I'm alone, I will easily find myself veering off into those unhealthy patterns, seeking addictive behaviors. But if I'm with other people, I don't feel that. Now, who are the other people that you're surrounding yourself with? Because if the other people that you're surrounding yourself with are also people that smoke, drink, and do all of these things that have no control over their impulses and their hyperactivity, then yeah, good luck, because those connections are probably going to take you further and deeper into the problem. But what else is it that might be missing from your life? Okay, connection could be missing, but let's talk about the energy of the unique substances themselves. Cannabis. Well, what is cannabis actually giving us? It's inviting us into an immediate system relief. It's putting us into a space where we relax, where we slow down. It's like immediate nervous system soothing. So the idea that I'm smoking cannabis isn't just like, oh, I'm an addict. It's like my body wants to fucking slow down. My body needs to go slower. And no surprise, we have a rhythmic, ancient, ancestral nervous system, and we live in this world that is too fast. It's too fast for everything. Even just for me, seeing the watching, people watching Counter and the comments is too much data, and it can be a little bit distracting for me. So, I'm doing my best to stay in a full flow state. But the idea is that there's too much going on in this world, and if I want cannabis, it's because I just want to slow down. But nobody taught me how to. It takes time and effort to actually practice slowness and stillness. It's uncomfortable. It's super easy to just smoke blunt. And maybe it's even a ritual that I have created for myself. And it's a pattern, it's an automatic program. And look, your brain wants efficiency. If it has that program of I can get relaxation by smoking this thing, it's efficient. I don't have to use a lot of brain power. I don't have to use willpower. I don't have to produce or create a lot of dopamine in order for it to happen. Then it's going to do it. But what about the other substances? The white powders, the stimulants. Well, oftentimes we're lacking something in our life like self-confidence. The people that do the lines of the white powder, these are people that maybe have never felt completely sure and confident and never walked into a conversation feeling fired up and lit up. And so finally they take that substance, they walk out into the world and they're just like, yeah, I can do anything, right? I can do anything. So we're medicating ourselves, but we're also giving ourselves the energy that we're lacking in our own life. So maybe we just need to practice, okay, building confidence and approaching people, talking to strangers, posting and sharing things online. Like it took me a tremendous amount of not willpower, but commitment and identity transformation to just show up for this live video, especially because some of you, I appreciate your comments. They're very, very beautiful. And there are some other comments that were nasty and harsh, right? So if I'm lacking confidence, then I might seek out some of those powders. Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol is another one where people are looking for an instant shutdown. I worked in the restaurant industry for years. I was a professional wine taster. At the end of the night, I needed to shut down. I didn't know how to. I didn't know how to slow down. I didn't know how to get ready for bed. But my nervous system needed to shut off. I was hyperactivated for hours and hours. And then I was cleaning everything at the restaurant to get the F out of there. And then it was like, man, I gotta slow down and stop. Okay, open a bottle. Ooh, that's easy. Dopamine hit. Ooh, that's easy. Some sort of numbing and a little bit of calming. Oh, fantastic. Mind is starting to slow down. I'm not overthinking. I'm not stuck in anxiety patterns. Ooh, how nice. So the self-medication benefit of alcohol is it's almost like what meditation does for monks, or maybe what, yeah, for that farmer neurotypical nervous system, maybe what being out in the fields does. It's like it eliminates the thoughts, it makes it disappear. So for us, if we're serving ourselves alcohol, it's because we're giving what society has provided for us, a quick, easy hit that frankly helps the alcohol producers put money in their pockets, helps the governments put taxes in their coffers, and so they have no regard for the impacts of this alcohol, this addictive substance on our life. They say like, hey, consume responsibly, but they don't teach us why we're consuming in the first place, right? Now, so we've got all of these self-medicating tendencies. What is it else, like what else are we treating? Well, we're treating hyperactivity, slowing ourselves down with some sort of substances. We have issues with impulsivity, which, look, science will say that there is a deformation or a underserving of the energy of the prefrontal cortex, the more human, cognitive, logical brain. There's like a lack of energy there. There's a lack of chemistry there. So it says that it's a disorder or a defect that causes us to do impulsive behaviors. I don't believe that. I believe that we are adapted to an environment where the ability for me to say there's an opportunity, there's an animal I need to hunt, there's something that I need to do, or there's danger that I need to move myself away from. We have very little barriers for that action, right? If my ancestors were in the forest and they heard a sound, they needed to take action. And so for us in this modern world, that shows up as impulsivity or hyperactivity. It's not a problem, it's not a failure. It's just a nervous system that is wired for an environment that doesn't exist anymore. So it's actually a gift for us to have this impulsivity in the right environment. So the last piece that I want to really bring into your awareness is that, like, okay, what can you do about it? Like, how are you going to do something about this? Now, I could go on for hours talking about habit formation, identity recreation, and all the things that have worked for me and for my clients to help us to get out of these self-medicating addictive patterns. The number one thing is awareness, which is what you're doing right here watching this. Awareness of even seeing your pattern. If you have a self-judgment, a thought that says, oh my God, I'm doing it again. I can't believe I'm doing this addictive thing. You're aware of the problem. So how are you going to do it? Well, the first thing I like to do is focus on identity. Focus on identity, right? My clients can become non-smokers in one day not because I do some magic tricks and spellbind them so they can't roll a cigarette, though actually I can do that too. The idea is that I help them to build their own identity at a deep unconscious level of a non-smoker. So it's easier for a non-smoker to quit smoking because a non-smoker is not somebody who smokes, right? If I were to walk into a restaurant, which they don't really have that anymore, but they used to say smoking or non-smoking, right? If I am a non-smoker, I'm just going to say non-smoking, please, right? But if I'm a person who quit smoking, if I'm a person who decided to stop smoking, if that's my identity, if my identity is a broken, confused, addicted person who needs medication, then I'm never going to really quit. The addict, labeled as an addict, the alcoholic labeled as an alcoholic, becomes the person who always has a problem and therefore will always have a problem. That's why I don't encourage this whole 12-step label and name yourself the behavior. I am not an addict. I have had addictive challenges. But if I'm a non-smoker or if I am a substance-free superhuman, then that identity can carry me forward into that new version of myself. The second most important thing is environmental design, which is if you don't have the substance that you want around you, if there's extra steps that come between you and then that actual substance being in your mouth, which is interesting that pretty much all of them are in your mouth. Another topic for another day. Hashtag didn't get breastfed. But the idea is that we are soothing ourselves with these substances, but if the substance isn't around, then I'm not going to be able to use it. If I have to go to the grocery store, to get cigarettes or the gas station or whatever to get cigarettes, at least that's a step in between me and that substance. So by designing my environment, right, James Clear with Atomic Habits will say that if you want to eat healthier, better to have a bowl of fruit on your table than a bowl of candy, right? Because you're not even going to think as you reach out into that bowl of candy. So design your environment to be supportive of you. In fact, because you have an externally driven visual nervous system, I would highly encourage you to put on the wall those visual reminders, written or visual image reminders of who you are, who this identity is that you want to be, and the habits that you do and do not do, right? Not necessarily saying I don't smoke, but I choose to take deep breaths. I am somebody who breathes clearly. Like that, that is going to be a better reminder for you. The third thing that I'm going to say is to get accountability. If you don't have some form of accountability, which is why the 12-step program does work for some people, but was never my thing. My accountability, sometimes I create it by posting on Instagram or YouTube. My accountability could be me telling my partner, hey, by the way, I'm taking time off from this substance, or I'm not a drinker, so just don't ever offer me alcohol. Or hey, I really don't want to drink this week, so can I check in with you or text you later today to let you know that I'm doing well? Like having somebody out there who cares about you is fantastic. I love it. You said video call. Absolutely. Having somebody that you can check in with, drop a video call, a FaceTime, or somebody that you're just like, hey, you know, if I'm ever having difficulties keeping myself accountable to my commitment, can I call you? This comes back to that ADHD nervous system thing because we are more wired for tribal connection, for small, intimate communities. And so our nervous system is sensitive to other people because we are used to relating. We're not used to living alone and then never seeing anybody and then falling into these traps and black holes of addiction. We're used to being surrounded by other people. Addiction didn't really exist in ancient tribal cultures because as soon as there was an issue, there was a whole family, a whole group of people to come and hold you and support you and ask you what you needed and give you that guidance and give you that tough love and give you that unconditional love too. But we're lacking that in this world, aren't we? Now look, there are so many different ways for you to start to make your changes in relationship to your addictions. But I would say the number one is just do your research and understand what actually is ADHD, because you're not disordered. There's nothing wrong with you. The only problem is that your nervous system evolved for an environment that you probably don't live in. So for as much as I'd love to say, hey, just quit your job and run out and live in the woods, that might not be a practical solution for you. Maybe it is. Why do you think so many people recently have been living in camper vans or, you know, living outdoors? I mean, God, the homeless people, what if they actually just have a nervous system that tolerates and survives well in these chaotic situations, but they don't have a neurotypical system that needs this like safety, security, and consistency? What if actually being homeless, living on the streets or living out in the wild is actually what their nervous system thrives best with? Now, I'm not saying for you to go and be homeless. I wouldn't personally recommend it. It's nice to have a safe place for you to go home to, but also fucking go outside. Go outside. Now, I'm going to leave the transmission with that because I am outside on the rooftop in this very peculiar little place in Dahab, Egypt, on the Red Sea. I came here 4 months ago because the universe just said, you've got a plane ticket, now go. But what I love about this place specifically is that we have free diving, we have rock climbing, we have kite surfing, we have all of this fantastic adrenaline adventure sports that I can go safely engage in. I can go and hike to the mountains, which are just right over there. I can go swim in the ocean, which is just right over there. And so I have an environment that supports me so that if I'm ever craving that stimulation, I can get it in healthy ways. So I'm gonna sign off for my transmission here today from Dahab, Egypt. I appreciate you all so much for your comments. Thank you so much for sharing how you're feeling. And remember, there's nothing wrong with you. It's just time to find better environments. So stick around. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do that now. There's gonna be lots of juicy, good stuff coming out in the near future. And frankly, I'm just going to be showing up more to support you in becoming the best version of yourself. So until next time.